All right, here I'm back. Question 2, anybody want to throw out what you think the answer is? It seems like this is a question that might have thrown everybody off, which is, it happens. The correct answer is B. And I'll tell you why. Question B is referring to the action the farmers can take to address the problem. So remember when we talked last week about when you zoom out, you kind of get the gist. When you read this passage, you get that they're really concerned about what's happening with the waste, and so figuring out a way to address that problem was really important to the passage. How about question number 3? Can pollute waterways. Anybody have a suggestion? Tammy, I can't see the chat when I have this open.
Yep,
Can you see the chat?
I can.
So if somebody throws out an answer, would you say it for me?
I will. And I think Betty will too. I don't have, I had Cheyenne, but I think that was to a previous message. She has D and A.
So one, guys, has to do with that apostrophe. Remember I told you SAT is going to really like that apostrophe. So on number 3, the correct answer is actually A. It's making waterways the correct plural form. So when I tell you that you want to review those plural forms, remember that this is going to be something that SAT is going to use. How about number 4? This is that punctuation.
I put C.
C? Whoever said that is absolutely correct. The correct answer is C, because it uses proper punctuation for the items listed in a series. How about question 5? Now remember, this is one where they're going to make you move around the sentence structure. And I think these are sometimes the hardest to figure out. The only way you're going to figure it out is if you really read the passage kind of all the way through first. SAT tells us that the correct answer is C. They want you to move. Sentence 5 should be placed after sentence 2. They say that that helps really kind of to give the acid way question its most valid, placement. How about question number 6? The writer is considering deleting the underlined sentence. What do you think the writer should do?
Carolyn, do you want to have everybody put a guess in and I'll just read the chat?
Yeah, that's a great idea.
So everybody wants to just take a guess?
And Tammy, even if you just have a consensus, you could even just give a consensus.
So the consensus is D.
And D is the correct answer. We've got a very smart group here today. So when it says to you, hey, make a decision for the writer, I'm never comfortable with this, I'll be honest with you, and maybe you're the kind of person who's not comfortable with this. Look at your choices first. So your first choice is that it's either 2 yeses or 2 nos. So I look at it this way, is even if you were just to say, I'm not really sure on what the answer is, but I could get it down to it's definitely a no, you have a 50-50 chance at getting this correct. So just by making a decision here, you get down to your more opportunity to get the correct answer. So it sounds like you guys did some of that. How about number 7, to be or not to be?
And again, everybody throw an answer into the chat. It looks like B.
B is the correct answer. We're on a roll, aren't we? Very, very good. How about number 8? It contains is the underlined section.
So we've got 2. I need one more. One more guess. Nicole, do you have a guess? Okay, we have A seems to be the consensus.
A, they want to make no change to it. SAT tells us that the best answer is actually C, because it presents a verb tense that's consistent in the context of the sentence. So this goes back to kind of reviewing those, the verb tenses, the subject verb agreements. And the more we do these SAT questions, the more you're going to start to see that. So mark that on your pages, guys. The correct answer is C.
So Carolyn, we did have one C, but, and I might pronounce this wrong, Odalise?
Alice,
Odalis is.
did I get it right?
She's having trouble. She said, I'm sorry, but there's something wrong with her internet and she can't hear anything and it keeps talking her out of the call, taking her out.
Can you type in the chat to her that I am recording this and that I can email it to her?
Yes.
No reason for her to get frustrated.
Okay.
All right, how about, guys, how about number 9? Also is underlined.
Looks like we have a guess of B.
So that would work. It could work is what I'm going to say. The reason that SAT says that you're not going to change it and leave it the same is because it's introducing an additional benefit, which is an additional health benefit. So they want to use also because it adds another thing. So think of it that way. It added another health benefit. How about number 10? Satiated. It's not a word we use a lot. Anybody who works out knows that your trainer tells you to eat Greek yogurt for this reason.
So we have A.
A is absolutely correct. It is used correctly because it actually satisfies you longer periods of time. I think had we had this passage 10 years ago, not as many people would know about the benefits of Greek yogurt. Now it's pretty popular. How about 11? It, comma, therefore farmers is underlined.
We have, B.
B is correct. So in this instance, by adding therefore, it really is just unnecessary. It makes it overly wordy. So SAT is, anytime you see something that does seem overly wordy, SAT is going to think that is not correct. They want you to use things that make sense. So whoever guessed that is absolutely right on. You're thinking like an SAT person. So now passage 2 is about Greenland. And I really want to go to Greenland. I more like Iceland. But reading this, I found this really interesting because it's something that I want to go to. So hopefully if you weren't interested in it, at least you told yourself you were interested. So let's look at question number 12. Which choice most accurately and effectively represents the information in the graph? So this is where they're going to, SAT is looking to see how you interpret graphs.
We have 2. We have an A and a B. Just waiting for Nicole. We've got
Right.
two B's and an A.
All right, the correct answer for question number 12, drum roll here, is B. And it tells you there on that March 5th, the average low temperatures at the lowest point. Very good. How about 13? So this wants to have you combine sentences in the underlined portion. This is where we go back to that grammar, that punctuation.
Guys, I'm thinking we have, let's see, A.
Correct answer is A. It doesn't change the meaning, it just brings them together. Very good. How about 14? For example, comma.
How about A?
So does everybody have A?
No, we've got two A's and a D. I'm going with the majority.
Oh, okay. So so let me mention this for so if you have your answers in front of you, look at your passage. So let me just read it. It wants you to kind of see, does it fit with the sentence before? So this follows several weeks of higher temperatures. For example, in the summer of 2012, virtually the entire Greenland ice sheet underwent thawing. Do you think, for example, is good in there? Or do you think it's giving, I think the correct answer is however. So if you were to reread that with however, I think you're going to see that that makes the most sense. It's that conjunctive adverb that we talked about last week. It signals an exception to a case, the preceding sentence. It's almost giving like a little bit of a comparison. So kind of underline that, guys, so that you can review that. How about question 15?
Carolyn, we have two C's and a B.
Two C's and a B. The correct answer is C.
Wait, real quickly, that B was changed to a C.
Awesome. So here's where we're looking at that as a modifying clause, that kind of using the commas correctly. So that's, again, reviewing your kind of commas, or when we say a non-essential clause, that means if we were to put those two commas around that clause, you could remove that and the sentence would still work. Fox believes that another factor added to the early thaw. An associate professor of geology at Ohio State has commas around it because if you remove that, it's okay. So kind of give yourself a little note that just says, good job. How about number 16? What would you do with thaw? Dreaded punctuation.
So we have C and two D's.
Correct answer is C. Colin just suggests that another factor. When I thought of this, guys, when I thought of this kind of reminds me when we think about movie titles and stuff like that. Kind of like thaw, ... colon, the dark problem, the dark snow problem. So when you think of how that works, think of that as it says here, it's signaling another factor. All right, now we get into talking about the Greenland expert and the tundra fires, yay. So how about number 17? Of it is underlined. What are we going to do with it?
So we have 2 Ds and an A.
Okay, so this is one we should probably talk about. Correct answer is C. And this is the relative pronoun grammar rule that we want to look at. So 17, instead of it, it should be of which. So those, you guys put a little star and tell yourselves to review the relative pronouns. Because I'll be honest with you, this is not something that's not how we talk a lot, is it? Talk like a lot. Like, I don't know that I find myself saying, produced great amounts of soot, some of which drifted over Greenland in giant plumes of smoke. So just kind of review that. How about number 18? Fell is underlined. Is that used correctly?
Carolyn, we've got 2 A's and a C.
Correct answer is A, no change. It's telling us the verb tense is consistent.
The C was changed back to A, so we had all A's.
Yay. How about 19? It's IT apostrophe S. Now, I will warn you guys, SAT loves its. You're always going to have questions on, is it's used correctly?
Carolyn, we have 2 B's and a D.
What does Betty say?
I'm thinking Betty is saying R.
The correct answer is D.
She's honestly saying cat is what she's saying.
Get that, black cat. Because there is the possessive form of the plural noun. So again, this is that kind of reviewing the possessive forms, the singular forms, that stuff that we talked about last week. How about 20? Is related to the rising temperatures.
It looks like we have, I'm not sure, B and a C. We've got 2 B's and a C.
Correct answer here is D. I think, and this is one of those things where reading a passage more than once is sometimes a good idea. I didn't ask this question, guys. How many of you finished this section in the time allotted?
Guys, you could put it in the chat box. We've got Janae did. Cheyenne did.
Did anybody have a lot of extra time?
So Carolyn, everybody finished it in the time.
Okay. So here's where you want to see, did you finish early? And would it be a good idea to read some of the passages more than once? Because I think when you're asked about this particular question, you really need to get the gist of the paragraph to be able to make that, to get that correct. Because it wants you to kind of really look at the preceding sentences and what is the focus. So kind of give yourselves that thought. Did you have enough time that maybe you could have read a passage a second time? How about question 21?
Carolyn, we've got 2 B's and an A.
Well, the B's have it. Correct answer is B. Tammy, there's your cat that's outside.
I was going to say, well, my cat's black, but is that your
Yeah,
cat?
but look, this is a gray cat who's going as a black cat for Halloween.
That's right.
Because it's free of redundancies. How about question 22? To make the paragraph most logical. This is where they want you to move sentences around. And if you're not sure of your answer, I'll give it a second and you can read it through. If you're confident, throw it in there.
So Carolyn, we have 2 Ds and a C.
Correct answer is D. You guys are doing good. How about passage 3? Anybody found this to be the greatest passage of all of them? It's co-working for a creative solution. I just found it fascinating. It's gonna, we're gonna do questions 23 through 33 are gonna be based on this passage. So let's start with question 23. Soon got worn off quickly. What should we do with it? I'm gonna give you a hint. It is definitely needs to be changed.
Got 2 guesses. We're just waiting for one more. Or Nicole, I'm sorry, Nicole, was your C answer to this question or was it to the previous question? Yes, okay, so we have 2 Ds and a C.
Okay, so the
Oh,
correct
I'm sorry about that.
The correct answer here is D. They want you to kind of use just war quickly. They're saying that soon got worn off is actually redundant. It's just kind of, you can't soon got worn. It just kind of doesn't match. So in this instance, SAT is saying less words are better. How about 24? No colleagues were nearby to share ideas. Having become frustrated trying to solve difficult problems, comma, no colleagues were nearby to share ideas, period. And then sometimes it helps to read that sentence and plug in the choices to see what makes sense if you're not sure.
We have a C and an A, and Nicole is having some issues. She keeps cutting out, she said.
Correct answer here is D. I'm going to read that out loud again. Having become frustrated trying to solve problems, comma, I missed having colleagues nearby to consult. So the reason that one is correct is because the entire paragraph is using the I. She's talking I, and then you could see no colleagues were nearby to share ideas. First, it doesn't sound correct, but it also results in a dangling modifier. It kind of doesn't modify what it's supposed to modify. How about question 25? Into co-working spaces. It was during this time that I read an article into co-working spaces. And this is where I would put in the words. It was during this time I read an article about co-working spaces. It was during this time that I read an article upon co-working spaces. It was during this time I read an article for co-working spaces. Which one do I think? Go ahead, Tammy.
We have 2 Bs. I think Nicole is having some technical issues. So
Okay, so the correct answer is B. Good job, guys. How about 26? The spaces are usually stocked with standard office equipment such as photocopiers, printers, and fax machines. Tammy, it sounds like the Stourbridge project.
It does. And I think if we had one of those, what is it, Family Feud, where you've got to hit it really quick, Cheyenne already put her answer in. She would have won. Yep, and I think Janae did too. So we have a D and a B.
In this one, it's a no change. They like it exactly as it's written. Equipment, comma, such as copiers, printers, and fax machines. So this is that punctuation that you want to kind of review. How about 27? In these locations, however, the spaces often...
Janae got the first answer on that one. So we have A and B.
The correct answer is B. It provides a really good transitional phrase if you read the whole paragraph together. Question 28. The writer is considering deleting the underlined sentence. Do you think it should be kept or deleted? So here again, you get down to two choices, keeping it or deleting it. And then once you've decided if you're keeping or deleting it, then you have a 50-50 chance to get the correct answer. The cost of launching a new co-working business in the United States is estimated to be approximately $58,000.
Carolyn, we have two C's.
Two C's. And they're both correct. Very good. The sentence is really distracting. You know, it doesn't really kind of talk at all about cost any other places. Well done. How about question 29? At this point, the writer wants to add specific information that supports the main topic. Which choice do you most effectively completes the sentence with relevant and accurate information based on the graph?
We have an A and a B.
Correct answer is B. It does logically help to flow it. When you put that in, you do see how that kind of flows. So definitely put a note. The person who put A, put a note to go back and review that. And I think it'll help you to see why it's the correct answer. Question 30, whom? SAT loves to see, do we know how to use whom correctly? So I'm going to read this. The article goes on to suggest that the most valuable resources provided by co-working spaces are actually the people whom use them.
Carolyn, we have B and, I'm sorry, wait a minute. We have C and D.
Correct answer is D, who use them. Definitely makes the right answer. We're doing really good. All right, here we are, number 31. The writer wants to add the following sentence to the paragraph. Where do you think we should put it?
Carolyn, we've got two C's.
We got a consensus, and they're both the correct answer. Very good, girls. Very good.
Good job.
How about question 32? They want to know colleagues. It's underlined. Colleagues with a colon. Is that the correct punctuation? Remember when we use, go ahead, Tammy.
C is again, everybody's got C again.
So remember when we use the colon, it's kind of adding to it, like, you know, when I said like a movie thing, This is actually the correct way to use the colon here, because it provides that kind of linking the two of them with like a list. But so I'm going to read it together. Over time, I've gotten to know several of my co-working colleagues, another website developer, a graphic designer, a freelance writer, and several mobile app coders. So what they're basically saying is the colon and is telling us there's a list of people to come. Now that, by the way, that period could have stopped after colleagues as well. So review the uses of that colon. How about 33? Share advice and help each other brainstorm. Even those of us who work in disparate fields are able to share advice and help each other brainstorm.
Carolyn, we've got A.
Absolutely correct. Perfect. Reads perfect. It's perfect. Good job. Question 34 is based on the next passage, which is the consolidations of philosophy. Not my favorite subject. In broad terms, comma, philosophy is the study of meaning and the values underlying thought and behavior. What do we think?
A again.
It is correct. There is no change. And by the way, I want to point that out. That was 2 questions in a row that were no change. Remember, I told you, don't second guess yourself because of that. How about question 35? Oh, there it is. 30. How about question 35? More pragmatically, comma, the discipline encourages students to analyze complex material.
D.
Everybody guesses D?
Everybody's got D.
So let me read this. Question 35, right? But more pragmatically, comma, the discipline encourages students to analyze complex material, question conventional beliefs, and express thoughts in a concise manner. Everybody picked D, so let me read it as it is. But in a more pragmatic speaking way, the discipline encourages students to analyze complex material, question conventional beliefs, and express thoughts in a concise manner. The correct answer here is the third no change in a row. And the reason I point this out is it literally is the more succinct. Remember, they don't want you to use words that you don't need. So in, you know how it says in a pragmatic speaking way, although it's not technically wrong, it adds unneeded words. How about 36? Because philosophy teaching students not what to think, but how to think. And this is where you would want to put each of those choices in to see what works best.
Carolyn, we have B.
Correct answer is B. Good job, girls. Good job. 37, which choice most effectively sets up the information that follows? So they want you to, this is where they're checking your critical thinking skills.
Carolyn, we've got D and C.
All right, correct answer is D. How about that? Only 18% of American colleges required at least one philosophy course in the 1990s. That's pretty cool. Question 38. Therefore, comma, what should we do? Change it, keep it?
We have C and A.
C and A. Correct answer is C. I can see why you would say A, though. I could absolutely see why you would say A. And this is telling you here why. A and the rest of them are not given the transition of between the sentences. How about 39? Which choice most effectively combines sentences? We're almost done, guys.
C and B.
Okay, this is one you guys want to put a star for. The correct answer is A. So put a star next to this one, and I want you to redo that question at a when we're done, and see if you would change your answer to A. How about 40? Has scored is underlined.
Carolyn, we have B.
Correct answer is B. Good job. You guys seem to get those grammar questions really well. Subject verb agreement. How about 41? Students majoring. Again, this is checking that apostrophe S. Is it used correctly? They love to see, do you know the possession, proper possession?
Carolyn, we have B.
Correct answer is B. Good job. All right, rolling right on. 42. Here we go. The writer wants to add a sentence and he wants you to do the work. We get it down to yes or no, and then we'll see if we can narrow it down from there.
We have C.
C is the correct answer. Well done. You guys could actually write better than this writer. You know where to put the additional sentences. How about 43? Which is underlined? Not the witch that's coming up for Halloween. The other witch.
We have A and B.
Okay, so let me read it. These, all right, let's see, that these skills are transferable across professions, which makes them especially beneficial to 21st century students. SAT wants you to delete which. So let me read it. That these skills are transferable across professions makes them especially beneficial to 21st century students. So by removing which, it just makes it a more coherent sentence. And you can see there's a whole YouTube video on this very topic. I'm going to send you guys this so that you can read it later. Number 44, let's finish with the bang. Our lifetime.
I think we have B.
Correct answer there is D. This is again that possessive pronoun that you want to review, students and their, or student and it. So we're gonna, that's one thing I would definitely put yourself a note to say review possessive pronouns. And I think that texting is ruining us on this, on that very topic. So I'm curious, and you can just type it in the chat if you want. Can you count up to see how many you got correct? Yay, Janae. You guys realize this is the first time you're taking an SAT. You're doing it, you're sitting, you're timing yourself. Just by doing that, your score is going to go up. Just by doing it, your score is going to go up. So know that whatever score you just got, just by doing this practice test, that score will improve the next time you take a test. Well done. So what I'm going to do next in the last 15 minutes is we're going to do some math strategies because your homework is section 3. Section 3, that is the non-calculator math section. Everybody who requested a calculator is getting this calculator in the mail for you to use for this practice and for the test. I'm also emailing you a very detailed how to use the calculator for 2 weeks from now, but I want you to have a whole week to look at it. So this, remember, this section we're doing for homework, you cannot use the calculator. That will be section 4. But that doesn't mean that you can ignore the calculator. I want you to at least have it, play with it, not while you're doing section 3. So let's go over our math no calculators section. Strategies. Now next week I will have Ben on with me. Ben is our math guy, and he will help to answer some questions while we're doing this. So let's talk math strategies. So first of all, the third section that you're doing for homework, you have 25 minutes to answer 20 questions. That provides you about 1 minute and 15 seconds per question, or 75 seconds. 15 questions are multiple choice. That means the answer is one of the 4 choices. 5 questions will be grid-ins. That means you have to figure it out and you have to put it in. Here's the interesting part. There's 2 math sections. This section only counts for 1/3 of your score though. The calculator section has a greater bearing. So what skills are going to be tested on this math no calculator section? Here's the breakdown. There are going to be 8 heart of algebra questions. Actually, algebra is going to make up 40% of the non-calculator section. There are going to be some passport to advanced math, and then there's just going to be 3 additional topics. Now, just keep this in mind. There are questions on this math calculator section where you are not going to actually even have to do math. It's going to see if you just can set up an equation or set up a problem correctly. So we're going to go over some of those. So here are a few strategies. You're going to use the answers and try to eliminate. When it comes to a variable question, we're going to make up numbers. And when it comes to quadratic equations and exponential functions, you're going to use 0 or 1. So let me show you an example of what an easy heart of algebra question looks like. So you can see here, if x minus 1 over 3 equals k and k equals 3, what is the value of x? I'm going to ask you all to try to work this problem out. And I'm going to give you a little hint. Try using the answers given. When we use strategies, we say start with the lowest and go with the highest. So what you would do is, if k equals 3, what is the value of x? Try plugging in your numbers, okay? Anybody have any questions on how to do that? Tammy, is anything in the chat? Oops. Once you figure that out, somebody yell out the answer or put it in the chat. All right, I see somebody's throwing an answer out. I'm going to go ahead to the next screen. So what you want to do is start plugging in those answers, or if you wanted to solve it, you just multiply both sides by 3. So then you get down to working with x minus 1 equals 3k, and then you add to both sides, kind of just solving both sides down. Here's another option, is to work backwards by plugging in your answers. So you can see Correct answer is 10. Very good. Everybody got that? So here's an example of a medium heart of algebra question that is not requiring you to do any math. You just need to set up the problem. So take a second, read this, and then yell out or type for me what you think the answer is. You guys are quick. I love it. So this is even asking, it just wants to know, put it together. So you've got Armand and his buddy are texting all afternoon, Armand and Tyrone. You can change, remember you can change their names. I'm getting the consensus of our answers. Good job, guys. Good job. Armand, remember M, text an hour, multiply the number of hours. How about this one? This is an example of a passport to advanced math. Now, this one, they're not requiring you to solve this. Don't get nervous when you see this giant problem up here. It just wants to know, can you manipulate it? So it wants you to solve for P in terms of M, R, and N. Anybody want to hazard a guess? I have to keep going back up here to look at a different screen. Janae, why do you say it's A? You were so quick on that one. Anybody else have a different answer? Now I'm going to remind you, let me just say this. We're solving for P in terms of M, R, and N. And if you look, A is exactly the same up here. They've P and M are switched. See the P and M? You're on the right track, Janae, and I like your gut feeling. One thing is slightly different though, guys. The correct answer is B. So, and this is where SAT tricked you. So you see on this one, they just moved the P and the M. They didn't do anything here. The correct answer is B because it's the reciprocal. It completely flipped the problem. You see, Janae, here, where now you have the P over here and the M here, but they flipped it. They reciprocated it. You got that, guys? Basically, you just flip the entire current expression and it gives you your answer B. Here's an example of passport to advanced math. I'm going to tell you here in this one they want you to solve, you want to find what the price per pound of beef when it was equal to the price per pound of chicken. You guys see if you can just solve that with just your basic knowledge. Anybody have an answer? We want to find out when the two of them were equal. I like that. You're giving me an answer. I get them. I like the maybe. Anybody else agree, disagree? So here we go. So put the answers in the formula. Start with the two extreme numbers. So in this case, you would want to try A and D first, because they want to know when were the two of them equal. So you have to get down to say, you know, B equals C. So you see how setting B as equal to C, see how you, by putting those in this equation and plugging in the numbers, you then figure out which one is the correct answer. So the correct answer is D, $3.35. So additional math topics, guys, that are going to be on here. You might see a little geometry and basic trigonometry. You want to review sine and cosine. Remember that this section provides you a reference. So let me stop sharing for a second and put my camera on. All right. Section 3, your homework, right? See this reference section? This is going to be on your SAT. That's part of it. Studies and statistics show that students who memorize these are the ones that get close to perfect scores on the SAT. So definitely review this prior to starting your section. So that is absolutely one of the things you want to do. Let me go back. You want to review things like the complementary angle relationship, the negative number rule, and the basic arithmetic rules. Sample additional math topic. This is a right triangle question. Anybody know this answer? Kind of like just by looking at it, you're like, oh, I know this answer. Oops. Trying to get my chat back. So in a right triangle, one angle measures, nobody's giving me a guess. We're almost out of time. The correct answer is 4/5 or 1/8. Hey guys.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi.
Hey there, just have a seat right there. How about in your grid-ins, guys? Those are your student produced responses. Again, you're going to your homework.
Hi.
Your homework. These are your grid-ins. Okay? That means you got to put that answer in correctly and you need to take time. You want to either use a fraction or a decimal point, whatever is going to be more accurate on your sheet. So this is an example of a system of equations that you're going to have to do. And then the answers are there. So what I want to do is I'm going to email all of you that math strategies to your email so you can review that. I'm emailing you the answers to the writing section so that you can review that. And your homework is going to be section 3, no calculator. No calculator. You're going to set aside 25 minutes in absolute quiet to do that section. Does anybody have any questions? I know we're a little bit over 5 o'clock. All right, no questions? All right, guys, so I'm going to email all of that to you tonight. If you have any questions, shoot me an email back, all right?